Hello. Soon as I turn the damn camera on. Oh Lord, there you are. It is late. Hello. I am here. Welcome. It's just kind of a special late night edition of Fighting for the Republic with my guest, Becky.
Good night. Good evening. Good morning, wherever
You know,
everybody's watching.
wherever you're at, huh? This was really kind of plan. We just said, why not? What the hell?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. How you doing, Becky?
I'm doing good. Hanging in there. Hanging in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Did you watch the president tonight?
I watched part of it. I was in and out, so I caught some of it. It was great.
It really great. Was. It was. It's you never get tired of hearing him.
Nope.
And I figured something out. There's a little trick when you listen to the president, and it's basically listen for little things that you may not really catch, because as he said, yesterday or when he was in Michigan, he said he was saying, I might go to California. We may target that. It's just even in a joking manner. It's kind of like signaling. It's really good. I picked up on that a lot, and I picked out that he also mentioned New York, so he's going to go for New York.
You think so?
Absolutely. Here, let me fix your box. I got a little smidge here that I didn't get, just real quick. There we go. All fixed. Yeah, and he's been talking about this vaccine. I don't think he's talking to us. What do you think?
I don't. I've seen a lot of people throwing out, ideas, and it does make sense, that he is trying to, get some options out there, and having it so close to the election, you don't want to say something that's gonna, lead astray your followers and your the people that look up to you. So what's the best way to kind of get to the other side? What can you connect with that opposition? And the best way is to give them the option to do a vaccine, and giving that, I think a lot of it is people only hear kind of what they want to hear. It's very selective hearing. And I know just as much as we don't want the vaccine, people do want it. And I think that should be an option. And maybe possibly, words are very, very, very interesting. So it could be a possibility that vaccine doesn't mean that what we think it is, That could be a possibility.
Absolutely. You got a good point. It's also that, the mainstream media just kind of throws whatever out there and thinks it's going to stick, right?
Yep.
So they'll even take virtual signaling, if you will, way out of hand. There is, when he's joking around about, maybe I'll just run for 2 more terms, right? They take that so literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you do a lot of actual research. What kind of good stuff have you dug up? Anything?
regarding what topic? Give me a give me a subject. I got plenty of
plenty.
Yeah.
Okay. How about anything new on the quote unquote croup, the croup, corona?
The croup.
I refuse to say
The
the other
Rona.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The Rona. I honestly, with all the research that I've done up to now, um, I honestly believe that it's been something in their back pocket, and they've been attempting this I don't know, this plan, and I have no idea what it is, their target, their objective is. So, but people are getting really, really selective on what facts are, and science. I mean, we've all, like, 9 months ago, the science that's been thrown at us is ridiculous. The science, so called, from mainstream media. We have to. I think everybody's on an emotional high and not really thinking. And there's a lot of facts, and there's a lot of people who have been studying virology and epidemiology, whatever, and doctors coming out and they're stating, this isn't what it looks like. This isn't. This is what it seems to be, and we're not really hearing, or people aren't really listening to that. And it just amazes me. Every day there's more studies being suppressed and censored from people that we would have looked upon a year ago. And there's a lot of different presidents, or other countries, people running the countries, just they're coming out and saying this is ridiculous, and the numbers. I mean, all of a sudden, all the numbers of the regular deaths that occur every year have just not. They're gone because of the Rona. I mean, there's still people dying from influenza, suicide, car accidents, heart attacks, strokes, just out of nowhere, And I think we have to. I know it's so emotional, and I know some of the comments that people come up with is just amazing. It just goes to show that they're so in deep emotionally, like I've seen comments like, people who don't want to wear a mask, go ahead and don't wear a mask. I hope you get sick. It's I don't know.
People are funny that way, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, right now, our governor was taken to the Supreme Court Wednesday because, as I pointed out, there's a 1945 law she's been going by, which gives her pretty much broad jurisdiction on EOs. Well, that's not the way it works. She has to go by a different set of rules. So we may not be wearing masks like that much longer. Now, I mean, if you want to wear a mask, go for it. Knock yourself out. Be happy.
Absolutely. I think we should have that option. And I don't think we should be frowned upon if we do or if we don't.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know where everybody's... I don't know what happened to everybody's common sense. I get it. I totally get that this isn't something that we've gone through before. This is so unusual. This is very different. We don't know how to deal with things. But I think we need to remember that this too shall come to pass, and we'll have to face everybody and look at everybody, each other in the eyes later, and we have to be conscious of how we are reacting towards each other. I think that's huge.
Well,
in the moment.
well, the left always contradicts themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Let's love each other, blah blah blah, and then if you don't convert to what they think, you're a Nazi, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing, and you know, just like the massing, if it's perfectly fine. We were at the Trump rally, and you had to go in and wear one to get in.
Right.
So sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Yeah.
like I want to go to a Trump rally, So
Yeah.
then we just kind of like, no, we don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
seen
it's
so many
great
come
that,
off.
yeah, it's great to have that option though,
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
And really, they're still doing a lot more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I think about it, it goes back to MK Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first start learning about it, you think, nah, that's kind of a little far fetched. It's a little movie type. Wow, the stuff I've seen is unreal. The stuff they used to do to people and what they do to them now, and they're still sleeping. Some are waking up. Some are finally coming around.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the whole programming. We're given these movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those a go-to. If it doesn't seem realistic, it's a go-to. Oh, it's just in the movies. Oh, that's that's not real life. That's just something they've made a story, put together, and created a movie. And that movies things don't happen to us. And yeah, it is. There's so much in the medical field and in science. There's so much that we don't know, and that we've evolved from. And at one point, we started doing stuff that didn't work, and that's how you progress.
Right.
And the study, the studies that were done to people, and they didn't even tell them. It was just kind of the science or the medical field. We're just kind of, let's try this, and attempt to not tell them, so we can get a better feel of what the research is about. And then they mess up. They totally fuck up.
Oh,
and they learn. Well, not really, but they learned how to work with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is very hard to get out of that, and it's very hard for people to not or to accept something that challenges the belief, and the belief is just hardcore.
Well, when the riot started, and I've been very vocal of telling people that, especially kids and probably in their 20s, that they're going to regret what they've done. Mm-hmm. And now you see it. You see them crying because they're getting arrested.
Yeah.
Their life is ruined.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sad that a lot of people have fallen into that trap and don't understand. I know, and there is a really good episode of Glenn Beck I just watched the other day. It's about Black Lives Matter and how they have infiltrated our school system, and it's pretty deep too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I heard in one district that they're actually working with the education board in some counties and in districts. They just, and it goes along with the whole sexual education program that they put in, and they just slip it in. And I've noticed with having kids in school, I'm not really informed on anything. And apparently there was a lot of district meetings that no parent would attend. So when there's no parent, there's no objection to anything that they want to do. So they just kind of pass. Let's get this in. Let's get without any parent input. And it's it's amazing that how the generation by just the education from being, from the child perspective affects the whole society of their future.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 20, that era, that generation, the
Mm-hmm.
way they grew up in school is completely different than, I'm 37 and it's completely different. And the way we have dealt with society, and it's absolutely amazing how different it is,
Mm-hmm.
and how just something like that in our structure of living and learning is amazing, how different things can come out. And it doesn't just affect the social environment between the kids, it's society. Look at they don't know and realize what we do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge, and that's kind of what we have to remember, that they're not aware of life the way we are aware of life.
Right.
So,
And I want. What do you think that now? Do you think that maybe it's because they're trying to? Yeah, go ahead. You're all good, Monica. Sorry, she wanted to share.
oh yeah,
Absolutely. Um, do you think that a lot of it has to do with them, like BLM and the left, far left, want to destroy the structure of the nuclear family?
oh
That
yeah,
way, it's easier to get to the kids.
oh yeah. I absolutely. I mean, somebody in that group of, you know, I don't know who, just the darker side of who's in charge. I think absolutely they're thinking of, where can we get them, or what? Because I mean, if they're in charge of the education and of our children, they have to see the, not so much predict, but they have to have somewhere to go, and their mission. And I think, we have very, in order for to get there, they do have to have more control over the children's perception of life, their ideas and their beliefs and what they're told and in school. And yeah, I definitely believe that. I think it is their their way to break what is blocking or in their way to whatever they're getting to.
Well, see, that's probably why they want to rewrite our history and not teach what, like, the
Mm-hmm.
Bolsheviks
Mm-hmm.
did and what they did during the Chinese Revolution. They tortured, killed, enslaved millions,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped them rise to power. And that's a lot of things these people don't understand as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, they did. I did go into, um, I'll have to start writing things a little bit down with clarity. But I did go into how did we create the education system? Like, where did it come from?
Mm-hmm.
The origins of teaching our children, and it goes with the history. They did somebody in the government or somebody high up did approach the schools to teach history in a way that would benefit whatever plan they had. And the school board said no. The people teaching, they just weren't on board. So they figured, what's the best way to do to continue this and get in the school
Mm-hmm.
about history and tell history the way they want us to see history of America. And so what they ended up doing is they got, five, I believe it was five five selected people to go into a college or a university, or they talked to the university and accepted the 5 people, and they trained them, or they taught those people that way of history.
Mm-hmm.
And they taught them, and they just pretty much taught somebody from the high up to teach history the way they wanted to and get certified, become history social study teachers, and then let them get hired. And so now they were going to pass down the teachings of however it is that they wanted. And then it just like spread like, like wildfire.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, yeah, I think that's a good idea, is try to figure out how we got into this situation. And, Betsy DeVos, she was on that Glenn Beck special.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't like...
I'm not sure who's Glenn Beck, by the way.
Oh, wow. I'm not... Well, he used to be on Fox, and then he kind of got in trouble because he had back problems and got, addicted to painkillers, I believe it was. And so now he works for the Blaze. Okay. I think he started that company, I believe. But, I don't care what anybody says about him. He's smart. That guy can put things together like you would not believe. Mm-hmm. But he, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
But he had Betsy DeVos on. And I really did not like her answer, the way she... sorry, I'm just trying to get chat better lined up. My apologies. But I didn't like her answers that she gave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what she's doing or anything. And I think we need to be clarified what she is, because we're talking about our kids.
Right. Yeah, because she's on the board, huh? She's of education. She's a secretary of education.
Yes.
Yeah. And regarding education, I found out that the origins of school was this, how would I put it? It came from Prussia. Prussia, I don't know what country it's from. Let me look it up. But Prussia was the first place where they even had some sort of schooling. And they started it because they realized that when they went to war, or when they had their soldiers out, they had a really tough time telling them what to do. Mm-hmm. And they weren't very they had their own minds. They thought for themselves, and it wasn't what they wanted. They weren't really, they didn't follow orders. Mm-hmm. So they ended up finding a solution to how do we get them and train them to listen, to be in kind of like have an order, like just basically being told what to do and then doing it. How can we? And then the best way to do that is when they're kids. Start when they're kids. So they ended up putting together a school system, and the purpose was for them to get used to growing up to become part of the, their military. And, in the morning, the bell rings, line up, and sit down in class, listen to one person, and don't, if you have something to say, you raise your hand. And if it's a no, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And the bell rings, and then march to the next class, stand in, so they ended up doing that, and it worked. The following generation, or the following group of people that they had in their military or army, they ended up realizing, it worked. They realized it had a huge impact getting them from when they're really young. Mm-hmm. And I think, I'm not sure how it ended up coming here into in America. Somebody from the board, the education um, department, just found out and was looking for something like that, and they ended up adopting the that technique here, and that's basically what how it started. And I don't know, just even when I was young, going in school, I just thought it was just ridiculous. Like, it could be just my personality. I don't like somebody telling me what to do.
More rebellious.
Yeah,
Type.
authority. You know.
I think we're all that way in a way, in a small way. You know.
Yeah.
It
just felt wrong. It felt wrong. It just, I don't know. I just had this sense of, this is weird. I just took a test and I got a 0 and I failed it, but it doesn't matter because off to the next subject. There's no, if you don't understand it, whatever, everybody got to continue. Mm-hmm. And then what? There's no, I just didn't see any point in that. I thought if you failed, then you work on it, or, you figure out how to understand it. But no, it's kind of like, it doesn't matter. And what's the point of learning that then, if you're not going to get it and not get taught about it if you don't understand it?
Right. Well, I think, at least in my case, years ago, even though it was the school system was probably a little bit better than what it was today.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not by much. There were some teachers who really just didn't care. Yeah. They didn't care about being there. They were too busy worried about themselves and their own business. Mm-hmm. Where being, you have people who are a little bit slower learners in special ed mm-hmm. in a room, and the teacher leaves. That's not a good teacher.
No.
And I have come across teachers who are a little too rough when it mm-hmm. comes to little ones. And you got to have a balance.
Right.
I'm afraid to ask what the school system is there.
It's, I think teachers do their best. I think the intentions are genuinely, for the children's education at the beginning. I think it just gets a little bit overwhelming, and it gets poisoned from the higher authority. I think a lot of the schools, and I realized watching the school district meetings online now, because now they have to do the Zoom calls and do all that online. Mm-hmm. And I watch it on YouTube. They have to, they upload it on their channels, and I've realized with the talk amongst themselves, they really don't have much room to do anything. They have to get everything authorized. They have to make sure it's okay with the higher district. And, with the whole budget cut that I realized was, they have to follow certain rules, and it gives them a very, very small space to actually be the teacher that they want to do, be, and do what they feel like would be the best interest for the children. And I think they stay in that with those boundaries, and it's tough. And a lot of it is, the money. It's gotten to the point where they want to get paid, but it's hard. It is hard.
It really.
So they're trying to push. Yeah, they're trying to push. They have to work with what they have, and still have the motivation and intention, good intentions to do what they win in loving. And then there's some teachers that just are there. I don't know. Some teachers just, they don't have patience, and it could be at one point they did, and now they don't. And kids don't all learn the same way.
Right.
And having 30 kids, that's how many kids we have in a class here in California. Mm-hmm. And 30 kids is a lot of random, different kind of styles of learning. Mm-hmm. And with my, I've been researching and studying astrology, and the way we learn is very, very unique. And the way we deal with our emotions are very unique to each person. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you could yell at one kid and they'll be fine. You could, yell at another and they'll break down. And 30 kids, out of 30 kids, you're going to have very many different kinds of style of learners. And I don't understand how one way is the idea to educate our kids. And it's hard. It's hard as a parent, dropping them off, trusting mm-hmm. this type of, I don't know. It's very difficult.
Well, I can't really argue with homeschool today because I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I know, well, there was I think it was a tweet or something where the kid was kind of rude to the teacher, but that's when the parent needs to be watching the kid, mm-hmm. and then, I mean, it's still crap because you either have the teacher complaining that you're watching what they're teaching, or you can't watch the kid and they're messing around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the hell with what the teacher needs to do. You're the parent. You're there. You mm-hmm. need to make sure the kid is learning what they need to learn.
Right.
And that's when it becomes a responsibility and not the teachers. But, some of the crap that I've also seen them teach is BLM shit. Mm-hmm. That should never be there. Right. They're teaching them bad history. They're teaching them about socialism, and mm-hmm. of course, forgetting what they should be teaching. On top of,
I agree. I agree. There is that fine line of, parents' responsibility as far as disciplining them, teaching them, your families or your perspective of life. They're your children. They're your lineage that's going to continue, and it's kind of handing over for 8 hours a day. That responsibility, that and I know it's there's two people working, the parents that both work, and that is the only option, and we've always been taught that's the way life is, and but we're coming to find out what happens when we do that, and there's but I think a big thing is the option and the choice to do it. If it's best, if that's what you believe is best for your family, I think that should be an option. And if it's not, that should be an option too. And I don't think we get the it doesn't like we're butting into people's business, and I mean, I think we're getting too involved in other people rather than focusing on what we can do within ourselves and our families and how we want our kids to grow into, as long as they're good basic morals, and
that's another thing, is there's no morals being taught hardly anymore. It's like, okay, mom and dad both work. Oh, sorry.
Right. No, go ahead.
They're both working. There's nobody to watch the kids. You don't know who they're hanging around with. That's when they get caught up in this BLM shit and Antifa shit.
Mm-hmm.
and then their lives are ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, somebody made a good point, and it was Boogie Bumper. And he
Mm-hmm.
said the nerds are in charge, the ones who are in the hippies, because those are the ones that are in the colleges now teaching our kids.
Right. Right.
And probably half their brain is fried from what they're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But when if and I gotta look into this because in that one special, Glenn Beck said that it goes so deep it goes into the Weather Underground, which was basically a homegrown terrorist organization here.
Mm.
It went in the '60s uh,
Yeah.
with Bill Ayers, and they helped organize this. So I really can't confirm or deny it, but it's something to look into.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, and it's very interesting how I, growing up, I'm not too familiar with who's who and what they do and what their role is in our
Mm-hmm.
lives, and that's big, and it's biting me in the ass now because it's hard to follow, the political scene and what, I mean, that's huge. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not taught that, there's not in-depth, um, lessons I mean, yeah, they get taught at school the basics, the branches and this and that. But it's like, okay, but who am I supposed to talk to if I want to change something in the city? Or if I, what issues, who can I go to for these issues that in society?
Mm-hmm.
No, that was not taught. I don't know. Besides the president and vice president, that's basically, that was what we covered. But, it's important to know the local level of the political aspect of life, and not so much, and it's not wrong. I think we have this, like, once it goes political it's bad, oh, here we go, I feel like that's been really emphasized. If it goes straight to political, and then it's seen very, very, like, either this way or that way. And I think, um, with my daughter, we have discussions, and it's very this or that. And
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's, again, the education system where they're getting taught, well, something completely different than what I was taught. So it's very hard to discuss anything because they've already set in and planted that tree of whatever it is that they're growing. And it's it's very interesting. These times are very, very
It
interesting.
really is. It really, in the political scene, the parts are constantly moving,
Mm-hmm.
constantly. Uh, okay, one of Barr's lawyers or assistant generals, I forgot who she is. There's a new player. Why did she step down?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we all got to start looking at.
Right.
And I just seen a whole bunch of names I've never seen before.
Right.
And
It's like, who are these people?
it's more research. It's keeping us busy. And what I'm really curious on. People say, "Oh, we only have 4 more years." No, we don't. We have past 4 years to keep things in check.
Yeah.
It's going to take us because if, God forbid, somebody we don't want in after Trump is not going to call him out.
Yeah.
Let's just pray. I'm still rooting for Don Jr.
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
He's
That
just
would
like his
be,
dad.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. We don't know. And it's very hard to, I think there's that, those, that mind thinking, group of people where it's kind of like, I think we all need to, appreciate the ones that are against us and the ones that have completely different opinions and beliefs, just to realize, okay, well, there's something else out there that, changed that person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have that, we will never grow. And we will continually just be side by side, fighting at each other's throats,
Mm-hmm.
and get nowhere to better anything. And um yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, that's all right. Well, we'll never grow as a country
Right.
or as human beings in general if we don't learn to talk to each other.
Yeah.
You know, the left are so stubborn, and there's
Yeah.
just no way, no how we're going to be right. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
how this, well, as you said, it's like a movie. We pretty much know how this is going to end. It's going to end
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But for those like on the fringe and with anger who can't
Mm-hmm.
just deal with it and say, okay, let's just chill for a minute, they're screwed. They might as well just put themselves in jail right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I am in awe how we, and we have a president, and I was talking to my daughter, I'm like, whether we like somebody or not,
Mm-hmm.
they're still that, I mean, they're in that position because they're there, whether
Right.
we like it or not. We can't do anything to move them out of that position. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's how it is. And I get it that, there's certain things about the president that people don't like, but in reality, like, he is our president.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what it is. There's no saying you don't like him because it's this and that isn't going to change the fact that he's our president and
Mm-hmm.
he's doing things whether we like it or not. It is that reality that, and because people are so emotionally attached and charged with that opposition of whatever it is that he's doing, and expressing it with fighting and posting and arguing and being, it doesn't help. It doesn't change the reality that he's our president. And
Yeah.
talking about him like in negative ways, it doesn't help removing him. I mean, he's still going to be the president after you say whatever it is that you're going to say, or however you feel about whatever. The fact is, the president is who it is, and he.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember growing up with anybody in society talking shit about a president,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought adults just were very respectable, and I saw adults when I was younger, like, I just never, it was just bad if you spoke about the president. I mean, he's running and it's not just him. We have to also remember he's not the only person in, in the government. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's head of the country, but it does limit, he has, and we obviously seen, and it's proven that he doesn't really, there are certain things that he needs to work, groups that he needs to work with to trickle down
Mm-hmm.
to us. And I just thought, wow, you would think when I was a kid, the president of the United States of America, like, that's cool. That person's just an honor, whether we like him or not. It's an honor.
Mm-hmm.
And I just being an adult now, I'm like, wow, like, that's really harsh to say about somebody. That's really, I just never thought adults would talk about the president like that, or like if there was a speech or if he was on, people would run to the radios back in the day to listen to the president do a speech, and it was
Oh yeah.
great. Did it was very, very honorable. Where did that go? And just because it is who it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That position in our lives is huge. And I think everybody who's against him just kind of has that respect's lacking, whether it is Trump or not, whether it was, whoever, Obama or whatever, Clinton or whoever. But they're in office. They're our president.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Well, I'm guilty of that, and because I despise Obama for
Mm-hmm.
what he has said about this country, what he's done to this country, what he continues to do to this country.
Mm-hmm.
He has flat out said he wants to fundamentally change this country.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not honorable.
Right.
I'm wondering if it came down to when JFK was assassinated, because that was about the time everybody still loved the president, no matter who it was.
Right.
Okay, you're going to have your little differences, whatever. But after him, it seemed to get worse, worse, and worse.
Yeah, I think his assassination kind of changed, because that's when that's when Q started. Because there was a group. I don't think it was called Q, but I mean there was the Q group. I don't know if it's the same people or not, but they actually started back then.
Really?
And they went silent, and then they came out again. But I did read up on there was a group that was behind the scenes trying to do basically what Trump's doing with Kennedy, but it didn't happen. So they went quiet. But that was way interesting when I found that out. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So the Q isn't new. It's not just like, and it's funny because you got to dig. People are kind of like, oh, I read this up, or oh yeah, but you follow the crumbs, follow the yellow brick road, and you'll find out. Like, this isn't new. Whatever is going on. I mean, we have to remember that civilization has been a lot. We have been here before. I mean, this isn't our first rodeo with whatever's going on. It's just different kind of rodeo, but it's just amazing. I thought that was very interesting with having Kennedy come up over and over again. Just he keeps on popping up, and the Q movement was just it's kind of like back then. I don't know who or how or what they communicated by, but definitely it was there. And
I wonder how many people who read, however you want to define themselves, who follow or read Q, knew this.
Yeah, because if you think about it, everybody who's in the Q, I did see a few older followers, but most of it is, my generation, people in their 30s wanting to, like, maybe it's the ones that were kids while their parents were, at that time. But yeah, that would be very interesting if anybody had knowledge or some sort of information about that group, that what it was called, or.
Well, that's something to look into.
Definitely.
Like Doc Martin, she reads Q, and of course Sandra, she's in the Q, and a few others. Maybe should. I was wondering. Oh, Scott, West Texas said he was the bread maker for a while. in Q or the Q Hub. See, I'm still learning myself.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm not. I know some stuff. I'm not. I'm not very very deep into it, but I do love researching everything that's posted.
Well, I haven't learned how to read it yet. Thank you, Monica, for the lemon. Or, oh, excuse me, ice cream. My things ain't working. um, but I've come to grips. Okay, I'm on board with Q.
Right.
I'm listening. I'm listening more to like X22. I'm really listening to that a lot. I listened to it all week last week, especially, and it's really helped me to understand what's going on. Right. And the metrics is really good. Sandra, Coffee Time with Sandra, had one of the guys from the metrics, or actually two people from the metrics, on her show. I would really like to talk to them because they are fascinating.
Yeah.
But when there are, God, Q's been dropping like a rock today, especially.
I did notice. Yeah, I did notice a lot of people saying, there's a load, a drop load, and it's several. It's not just one like before, where it was like, oh, 1 week it was one, and then the following week, everybody had a week to figure out whatever. But it's like so many people are able, and it's amazing. Like that's the one thing that we have to give gratitude to the internet for. Like it's at our fingertips,
Yeah, if they don't block everything.
Yeah.
Scott says he was in charge of transferring data to 8chan to 8Kun, Kun.
Oh yeah, 8Kun. Yeah, because I was like 8chan, the other platform after, I think, was it 8chan that got shut down, and then they moved it, and that's awesome. Yeah. That's definitely that's amazing. I think they're in every group you always find someone that's has a different perspective, because if you put a bunch of people together, they're not all going to be like, yeah, this is it, this is they're going to there's always one oddball in the group.
Oh yeah.
And I just, and with morals that are like poking at them, so we got to remember that there could be those good guys in there, and hope, praying that they'll leak something, or they'll hint at something when something is going wrong. And
right.
Well,
what really is starting to concern me now, it just happened a couple weeks ago where they had BLM with Q signs. Okay, false flag.
Oh, yeah. I did see that.
Now you have citizens.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Mm-hmm. Oh. No, go ahead.
The citizens supposedly, thank you for the lemon, Monica. Saying, okay, they're there to defend their property, but if they start shooting, how do we know that's not a false flag? How do we know they say who they are?
Mm-hmm.
And the president has also said, let law enforcement take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should do. Never take the law into your own hands.
Yeah.
Unless you're like defending your life, your family, and you got to do stuff like that. That's different. Property can be replaced.
Right. Yeah.
Lives can't.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's kind of like to some, it's a wake up call that, things aren't the most valuable in our lives. Mm-hmm. I think the family, each other, the relationships, our experiences, our memories, those things are more valuable than the Porsche in your driveway, or the the window covering. Those things. Yes, they can be replaced, and it's very shitty that everyone has to work hard and devote all their time and attention to doing that. And that's the main focus. And I know it's for well with good intentions,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very distracting to. But that's how they've mastered to you know um, screw with our perception of what's important, what's comfortable, um, what do we want in life. And it's gotten very materialistic. And for some people, that's what gives them joy in life, and just kind of something to look forward to. But the extent of, like, the one with the pretty jewels, or going above and beyond, I think that has, like, uh, fogged our vision of the value.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, law enforcement is there to follow the law and protect people. And but I understand when they're all not protecting you,
Right.
then yes, take it in your. I mean, you are you to protect you and your family, and you could do what you have to do. But I did. I think I read somewhere about something about macing. Somebody got maced
Mm-hmm.
in defense, and so the person who maced them, I guess somebody attacked person number two, and then person number two maced the person number one, the attacker, and now the attacker is suing the macer, which is the victim, and they got away with
Yes, that's what
it.
always gets me right there.
I'm just like, wait a minute, you came at me, I had to mace you.
See,
What do you mean?
and when you see all these commercials about whatever, and including what you just described, we're all in the wrong business. We all should be lawyers. but but
I
but
don't. You know what? I don't think. I think we all just need to be knowledgeable with basic law. I think
yeah,
that is way important, and we should be taught that in school. Like, that should be a no-brainer. Like, general policy, or law. Law is like need that with the basic history and morality. Yeah, go ahead.
exactly. Oh, thank you for the ice cream, Scott. Um, but it's just morality.
Hmm.
Everybody should know wrong from right.
Yeah.
You don't go around doing what these writers doing. They know it's wrong. They're adults. They're not, and that's the same as I've always said when it came to the corona. We were taught since we were little, wash our hands after we go to the bathroom, whatever,
Yeah.
and don't sneeze in your hands and shake somebody's hand. That's gross.
Yeah.
But it seems like we still have to tell them, and it's
Yeah.
pretty sad. But when it comes down to anything, like I said, I'm kind of worried that a lot of these people says, "Okay, I'm here to protect you, but I'm going to loot your store." That's what I'm kind of worried about. As
Yeah.
far as the rest of these goonaberries, they don't bother me. I mean, it's sad what they're doing. Yes, I'm not trying to be not sympathetic. See, the people are losing their businesses or whatever.
Hmm.
That's a tragedy. But
Yeah.
where the hell is the mayor or the governor?
Right.
There you go. And Trump did a um, interview with Judge Janine, I believe, and she
Hmm.
asks about these writers. Well, if it gets bad enough, I'll just use the Insurrection Act. He will
Hmm.
go in and he will swoop up these some bitches and throw their asses in jail.
Yeah.
And when he says it, he means it.
Right. Because it's law. I think that's basic law. Like, if you're, I mean, they were pretty much, if it's endangering your life, that's bad,
mm-hmm.
And that person definitely needs to be put somewhere. If it's, if it's getting to the point where they were trying to set a building on fire with people in it, or it's just, I don't know. Yeah, and the mayors of the city have a responsibility.
Yeah, that's why they were elected.
Yeah, and it could be that what we learn or what we hear from the mayors, and which is only through mainstream media. There's not a lot of citizens going out there and informing each other about their city mayors or what's going down in the city, because all we hear is, the governor, which is in charge of so many cities, right? Or the state, and how many cities are in there. So it's kind of like, I've always had this idea of having this social network in the lower level, like citizen to citizen, city mayor to city mayor, like working in that way. Because we get told from the higher above and whatever, the governor doing his little talks, but that doesn't, it has to trickle down. And by the time it gets to us, it's like playing telephone. We hear something and then it trickles down and we're hearing something else. And, and if there's an issue with the whole government, there's laws.
Mm-hmm.
They're written for a reason,
Right.
I always thought, like, when the parent needs to come in, which is the law and the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's people, it's my right. But if you think about it, like, if we step back and think about it, when two kids are fighting, a parent needs to come in and be like, whoa, no, okay, so this is how it is, okay, and whoever is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. This is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the laws and the Constitution was made. This happens between the states or whatever department. Okay, let's go to the parent. Where's the foundation? Where are the rules of the game? The Constitution and laws. If you don't do that, then everyone's going to cheat.
Right.
Like, I
Portland.
And I do want to recommend everybody to go to. I'm in California, but the one channel on YouTube and her website, The Healthy American, .org, I believe. Peggy Hall. She's great at informing you with the basic laws. Like, she's not a lawyer. She's just, one of us. And she did a bunch of research, and her webpage just has basic information for anyone, for work, for health and stuff, and for the school. And then, I do want to recommend that Tori gives out tons of information too, but that's on a different level. Tori says, the
Can't
shadow.
Keep up.
Yeah, the Shadowgate.
Oh, Shadowgate was so good.
Yeah, if anybody has a chance, you have to watch that. It gives you the ins of part of what's going on and the reason why everything is going on with censoring and things and stuff. So
I believe it's still on BitChute is where I think I've seen it.
Okay, I'll try to load it onto mine because I did download it. I downloaded it on my drive, I think. The other one is Plandemic. The Plandemic, I think there's two parts, the Plandemic and the Plandemic 2, with Judy, I can't remember her last name. I can't pronounce her last name. Malkovich?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to
Those
see that yet.
really. Oh wow, that's more of the medical stuff. But yeah, oh, it's and yeah, and I always say, if you don't believe in whatever stories are out there, just have an open mind. Like, just know
Mhm.
there's another perspective. There's another person's view, and it's good to, whether you believe it, you change whatever part of anything you want to, whatever. But I think it's always good to listen to your to the enemy's plan. It's kind of like, it's always good to know, why is it that they're believing that? Why is it, when people come at me with, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Well, do you know what about it? Do you know anything about it? No, because it's just that conspiracy. It's like, well, go ahead and call it that, but know about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Well, speaking of open mind, you got to, because when you first learn a lot of this stuff, okay, you've heard of paperclip, you've heard of mockingbird,
Mm-hmm.
looking glass, and all kinds of different operations at MK Ultra. You
Mm-hmm.
go, that's not true. Well, yeah, it is pretty much true.
Yeah.
Um,
Even if the evidence and proof that it's true, like government documents, undisclosed,
mhm.
public information, they're there.
Yeah.
And it's, but that goes with the belief, the whole like hardcore set in stone. Nope, that's not true. That can't happen. Not in my life. It's
Well,
that's
well,
it's
there's
hard.
one oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, no, no. Go ahead.
There was actually a video I'm thinking about playing, but I can't play it on YouTube. They'll definitely give me a check on that. It's about MK Ultra, and it is
Mm-hmm.
the wildest stuff.
Yeah.
Wild, I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind. So I'm kind of trying to make a decision and get some time to do it,
Yeah.
because I need to get all this stuff in my hard drive, because they're going to be taking that down somewhere.
Right. You know
Um,
what other platform there is that's not the like YouTube censoring and deleting is the brand. It's called brand new NewTube, I think. Brand
Brand
new
new.
new.
I've heard of that.
A lot of YouTube videos are on there. A lot of them. Everybody's, and I guess it's a new platform. And I learned about it from uh, what's his name? I want to say Sean Atwood. Sean Atwood. He was one of the first channels to go to it, and they were barely setting up the platform. It did have a bunch, random bugs or little details of something not working. At first, they didn't even have comment section, and they added it, so it was a brand new baby being built.
Right.
So I did notice that a lot of people are on there and just kind of just transferring the YouTube videos, because it's a YouTube video like uploaded on there. But you could do live, you can go, you could upload or whatever. So it's a new thing.
Somebody presented that to me, and I looked at it. I wasn't really sure, because I like to be very careful what I'm getting
Right.
into.
Yeah.
If more people are going on there, I will go there. I will look more into it. And
Yeah.
also
What
Cloud
do you
Hub.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What do you recommend in looking, like, what do you look out for as far as like picking what platforms to
Well,
use?
I got to keep my ears out too, because of how many people have been shut down, etc. I
Mm-hmm.
like to see what I kind of like to get a feel of. I'll look through a lot of it and see what kind of content is there.
Mm-hmm.
So that also kind of determines.
Yeah.
And
It's
if
kind
it's
of like
new,
BitChute. Yeah. It's like
yeah,
totally similar to BitChute. Yeah.
I'm looking to get a channel on there.
Yeah.
But uh, new YouTube, somebody did present that, but I was very unsure
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm surprised that one person, nobody else has recommended it.
Really? I know. I
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of people haven't, and I'm not sure. I'm like, do I mention it? Do I say anything? Because I don't know if it's, I don't know. I just, but now it's getting to the point where anything, I mean, go somewhere else besides YouTube because they're censor happy. You know,
Oh
they're
my god.
just, it's amazing.
Well, I was kind of saving an article, but Barr is looking into oh crud. I forgot the article. I got it hid away. He's going to be doing something to Twitter. He's going to be going after him.
Hmm.
I can't think of it because I literally have been in 35 different places today.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but he is going to go after him, and it's about time. Why? It's baffling. You'd think it would have gotten better if this new owner of Twitter, who supposedly is this MAGA. Well, it's not Scott. It's not really Rico. It's something. It's like I can't remember exactly, but it's not Rico that I'm aware of. You could be
There's a
right though
new,
on that issue.
is there a new owner? It's not, what's his name anymore?
Well, Jack's. I think they took most of the shares of
Oh,
stock, but
oh,
Jack's
okay.
still there.
Yeah.
The twit, and why would you destroy it?
Yeah.
I've never. That's like building an empire and say, screw you. I don't like you. I'm going to destroy what I got.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's insanity. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
you can have your differences, but that's what. This is what I don't understand about the damn left. They will isolate themselves so much. Look at the NFL. Look at all these different companies who decide to bend the knee. Look at Twitter. Look at YouTube. They want to cave.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's on social media has to go to different places and find it's just unreal. They are
Yeah.
becoming more of an echo chamber than a community in sharing the ideas. I
Right.
mean, we have Lucifer Sam uh, on D Live. I mean, and on Twitter. He's a lefty, but he's reasonable. He has pretty good ideas, pretty smart guy. He can talk to you like a human being instead
Yeah.
of in your face acting like an insane maniac.
Yeah. That goes to show there's, not everyone um can be put in that box of, of viewing, seeing that person as a, label. And I think that there are people that think differently and on the left, um but I think, and I've always had, like, I don't like, I don't know, I just kind of like I feel bad when I call people like, oh, or when I hear people talking about the left, like I feel for them. Like I feel like like they really have beliefs that make them who they are, and it's sucky because it's pretty bad, through my point of view of whatever subject or topic. But it's kind of like, if they could just, I don't know, there are people who can think, who have those ideas as, the left. I think that's where a lot of argument comes, like when we call each other the left or the too far right. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just like there's just these ideas, and maybe if we imagine, what if we didn't put each other in a box,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't say you're way left and I'm just right. They're just, because I think there's a lot of negativity that comes with that. And we
Absolutely.
feel that. We definitely feel that. And words, oh my God, words, that's a whole other show. I mean, they carry so much power in them. And we never were taught that. We just, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me is so not true.
Right.
Words people can make you feel so small, even with a look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know and I think labeling, and because I don't like being called or put in a box, or and I could totally imagine how they would feel. And I think it's just kind of, and I think more, if we approach it differently, and I just got reminded, like, I was just thinking about how my kids fight, and I'm like, well, if you're nice to your brother, he'll know what it's like to see somebody be nice. But he's not nice to me. I know, but sometimes you got to be that person. But no, because they're not nice to me, I'm not going to be nice to them. And then it's like
Don't be
dog
a
chasing its
Karen
tail.
or a Carl.
I haven't heard that one. That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's how. And I really stopped and looked at this not too long ago. Okay, we have law and order, good values. We want better for this country. They hate everything, and God forbid, I am not by any means a spiritual advisor. But you know what? I can see evil, good and evil when it's there.
Yeah.
And it seems, just looking, you can see a spiritual warfare.
Oh yeah.
Here.
Definitely.
I mean, it doesn't. You just gotta stop and look and think. That's all you gotta do. You can see it. And how can you save some of these people? Some of them have been saved, I really should actually say, because a lot of them have left the left.
Yeah.
Because the left has turned on them because they don't believe in. They can disagree with one thing and still believe in their ideology or their beliefs, whatever. But if it doesn't go in sync with the rest,
right,
they're done. I mean, they'll go after them. It's like eating your own.
Yeah. And there are, I think it's not so much like, I think it's not so much like the belief or their point of view. I think it's like tainted with darkness or bad intentions or evilness. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole spiritual, like, I think it's everything turns to crap. Their ideas, their opinions. There's certain people that everything that comes out of them is just like, whoa, like, really? Like, and I think that's not, I think a lot of it has to do with the whole spiritual war that's happening. There are people that are showing, what kind of energy that they have around them, and it's coming out in their point of view and their opinions, and they're hard. I mean, it's hard to talk to them, and definitely, to maybe even like get anything through them. But I think it's a lot of it is just this purging of everything that's going to come out right now is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like the crap that we've been holding on to, and it's showing up in like the whole political scene.
Oh, it really is. And I'm just, and it's amazing that the left, the extreme left, like Antifa,
Mm-hmm.
are attacking people in churches. You
Yeah,
would
I
never
think that
see anybody like
yeah,
us do stuff like
no,
that.
no, and that's where you can see the evil, like the straight up darkness, like somebody who has no soul, like somebody that has no. I mean, if you're not really acknowledging that people are people with like a life and a soul, then there's something else there. There's something like it's just somebody like robotic, and there's no sense of compassion of humanity, and that's like
No,
scary. That's
that's
super
true.
scary.
And
And
they'll do anything.
hmm yeah, and I was thinking, when I was watching the riots, and they're so young, all these people. I mean, with what I could see through the mask and the gas masks and the goggles and everything, they're young. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, where are their parents? Yeah, we talked about that. I'm like, where are their parents, man? And it's there's something either in the water that they were drinking that just kind of, I don't know, but that's not humanity. uh, You know, that's not that's different. I think that's a whole different like level of thinking.
And what's worse, I've only seen two tweets where a mom has come out and literally slapped their kid upside the head
Oh, I
and
love that.
dragged them back in the house because they wanted to go ride or whatever.
Oh
Those
yeah, I
moms
love
need,
that.
I know, and they need like Mom of the Year award. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
they
yeah.
saved their kid's butt
Oh
from
yeah.
a world of trouble.
Yeah. And it goes back to the whole what we were talking about. When the parents are working, and that's there's that foundation of not. I mean, they can't get away with anything. Or when the parents are working, they can. I remember when I got babysat one time, I knew my mom had like money stash, and I ordered a pizza because I was like, "Hey, I know where some money is. Let's have some pizza." And we were being babysat, and I paid for it. My mom came home, and it was like that was super wrong.
Really?
Yeah, like I totally dipped into her stash and ordered pizza, but like it was one of those things where you learned what was right and what was wrong, like
She's a
what was
hooligan.
appropriate and what's not appropriate, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And when we're busy as parents, um, trying to make a buck, trying to survive, trying to make everything comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
um, going above and beyond for, the future of our kids and, their safety and everything that they need, because now they require so much. It's not like, here's a stick and a rock, have a good time. It's, we do lose that, you know, that structure of, because I know every parent's different, and I never ever dip into parenting styles. Like everybody can parent their kids the way they want to,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they're not hurting them. But if it's, you got to do what you got to do. They're your own. They're yours.
Yeah,
They're
right.
it's not my business, and I don't think. And I remember when I first had my daughter, first mom, I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like on the blogs, reading books, and how do you talk to a baby? What do you do when the baby cries? I had no idea. And it's funny because I was a seventh child, like my mom was, totally over it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it went with instincts, and um, you kind of, I was like, well, I'm not going to do what my mom did to me. So I'm going to, do it a little bit different, and that's my choice, my choice and stuff. And I hate it when the school is like, so maybe they need to get up a little bit earlier to get to school on time. Maybe, you could try this. It's like, what? I know my kid, okay? And when they start telling you what to do, but that goes with my anti-authority thing. But like, don't tell me how to do things.
Yeah, I got that too. I've always taught my kid to be very polite, ask questions if you don't understand the question. Well, she got in trouble for asking a question that she didn't know. And then I talked to her, and she goes, well, you stay here. I'm going to get the principal. I go,
oh yeah,
I'm going to see the principal. I ain't staying here. Who do you think you are?
Yeah. And I love the way I had a principal meeting at one point, and it was, how, and it's so funny because when my daughter came home and was upset, and it was regarding something, the principal kind of, wasn't aware that she made my daughter feel uncomfortable or whatever. She walked by, was smiling at the other kids, looked at her, and then totally went straight faced, and then looked away, and then smiled. So it was obviously, but kids are aware of that, and adults are like, go, 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 go. Not really. I gotta go, and some people just kind of show their emotions without even realizing it, and so, I called the office, and I was like, I need to talk to the principal. And so I sat down, and when they want to pretend they're certified principal award or certificate, it makes them better than you or whatever. I love how they try to make you feel like a kid. It's like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, I'm an adult. I've had 2 kids. I've lived life, and finally I was like, what, at the end of the day, you want to have your kids be safe and feel good, right? Because she had a kid in high school, and it was just one of those like, well, I'm a mom, you're a mom, we're on the same boat, but we're just doing things different, and it was just ridiculous.
Well, it's sad that kids can't even just go out and play like they used to. I mean, like when we were kids.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my buddy down in Texas, when I lived down there, go to the creek just about every day. And just kind of throw rocks or whatever. I walk around the neighborhood. You can't do that crap no more today.
Oh yeah.
And that's really sad about it.
Yeah, there's so much you could learn, and I think there's just so much in that, where you're down the street or walking, to the gas station or liquor store, 7-Eleven, a couple blocks down. Like, there's something in that just, I don't know, that's part of life that just gives you confidence, or just kind of, I don't know what it is, and I remember walking. It was kind of far to the store when my kids were younger, and I just realized, I was like, oh my goodness, these kids, like, they were just scared. It was getting dark. We were too close to the edge by the street. We got to hurry up and stay together. And it was just like, whoa, like, wow. And then, it's like, I don't see any kids like I did before. I mean, I used to go play outside till it got dark. Like, that was like, all right, I gotta go home. Because like I would get in trouble. But if I didn't have to go home, I'd be out, It was just, it's so different.
Oh, very much.
Kind of like the whole, you should get a dog in your life at one point. It's just an experience that that nothing else can give you one of those things. Or ride a bike, fall. Like, that experience just makes, I don't know. There's something in that.
It really is. And if you grow up not experiencing any of that, you're going to grow, oh, don't hurt me. It's then you
absolutely.
Become a soy.
Yeah. It's just something that is I definitely must. I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just growing up, even when I crashed on a bike, when I was on my way to school, dirty, bloody. I went to school anyway. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's like,
Right? Like
just
there was no option to go back home and sulk about it or change. It was just like whatever. Like
Scott in the chat says normally I forgive and forget, but some things can't be. Touching base on that, I used to really have a hard time forgiving anybody. I been through a lot over many years, and I never forgave anybody. I always held that grudge until I finally says, you know what, I forgive that person, and you don't know how much better I feel. That weight is lifted, and I mean it. And it's a shame I can't tell that person because I would.
yeah.
It's really uh, how do you want to say, like a weight lifted off you instead of holding that anger in and spite whatever you and yeah I there's some things I agree with that. There's just some things you just can't. Okay, somebody like hurt your
Yeah.
family, whatever, that's understandable. But experiences like we're talking about of that, until you let that go and you understand, okay, you can't do that, you're going to become very bitter and it's going to hurt you physically because that does happen.
Hmm.
But um when could is it easy for you to do that?
Um, you know, I think for me,
Mm-hmm.
there's something that we're put together in a very unique way, and for me, it's really deep and kind of covered with my personality. Like if somebody fucks me over, I
Mm-hmm.
won't ever like. I'll say I'll I'm cool. I forgive you, whatever. I'll never forget, and I probably didn't forgive, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to, but it's something I believe it's a inner, because I do believe in the soul and in the spirit and in spirituality, like, and the emotions are stored within the body, and each emotion tends to stay in one spot, and it manifests in a physical ailment, because that's why with the word disease, it's your body in dis-ease, it's not at ease.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and I think it's a personal kind of, everybody, it's a journey. Some
Mm-hmm.
things you can't forgive and forget, or you can't forgive because there's a lesson in that. And I believe that um, when it gets to the point where you're sick from it, or where you haven't really touched on that sore spot,
Mm-hmm.
everybody eventually, I think, on their deathbed, everybody's like, oh my God, I should have forgave that person. I should have forgot about that. Eventually we get to that point where we realize um, it's not so much about that person
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. It's more about the feeling of the situation
Yeah.
and the view of how it hurts you, and we grow from that and we become better people. And but I think we do attract a lot of that we don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a learning. I mean, seriously, this being human, everybody's whatever in their life. No one's got it easy. And if they
Mm-hmm.
do, it's a really good point in their lives. But I mean, we all
Right.
struggle.
Yeah.
We're all struggling with something. And it's a personal journey. It's a personal um, time to figure out who we are, what makes us better, what makes us worse. And, um, but yeah, I definitely can play the part that I forgive him, but I'm like, but I've learned that. Like, I've been revengeful.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really jealous. I've done crap that I wish I didn't, but
Mm-hmm.
I did,
Yeah.
and that's where I got to learn from it and not be so judgmental. And I think when people start doing stuff, when you see somebody like, oh my God, you're going crazy, instead of judging that person, um, just because of my own experience, I wish somebody was just there,
Mm-hmm.
even in my ugliest times. And the people that were there, I, I like, I value so much. And it's just something that I don't know. It's looking back and being like, how can I be better? How can I make things? Because basically, the way we view things and the way we feel, because we control our emotions and our viewpoint and our feelings, we can, figure out what we want. We don't
Mm-hmm.
like this makes us uncomfortable. Then, you know what? It's not a bad thing. It's just learning who you are, you know?
Well, Monica in the chat makes a good point. You kind of get used to it. It becomes like a security blanket, and that's not a good thing. You got to learn to get rid of that type of blanket, uh,
Yeah.
and embrace a better one. I'm kind of the same way in what you were talking about, because it's, you okay, somebody's really screwed you over, right? But after so long, you kind of realize it's time to let that go.
Right.
That bitterness, and I've been able to do that surprisingly, because for so long I couldn't, and
Yeah.
and it probably affected my health in some ways. It was very depressing and all that jazz. But once you do it, it's so much easier just to continue it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's a good part of it. But it is quite. Uh, Again, it's just a human flaw we have.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think it's definitely um, one's own personal journey, though, and I definitely believe that sometimes it takes somebody several falls, and because I've been there for friends that keep on, like picking that bad boyfriend, and it's
mm-hmm,
like all over again and all over again, and no matter how many times, with family, like we've had big fights.
mm-hmm,
No matter how many times we fight, it's kind of like I know that they're struggling with that, and I know that they're pissed off because their perspective or their view or their whatever. I know, but it's just something that like you kind of have like an intuitive, like, I'm not gonna deal with that shit. Like, okay, I'm over it. You're not my friend anymore. I gotta move on. I can't deal with you anymore,
mm-hmm.
And then there's those times where like, oh, he broke up with you again. Oh, like, okay, and then the whole sad thing, and then, oh, I found a new boyfriend, blah blah blah, and it's not your, it's kind of like it's your job to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's that support of in the ugliest moments. I
Yeah,
think that's important.
yeah, we're still growing as human beings, and we've got a ways to go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, learning doesn't end. I mean, no one's mastered life. So I think we learn every day. There's something out there to learn.
Yeah, we
But
have to.
yeah,
And
life is so big. I mean, it's endless.
it really is. I mean, just when you think you know it all, something new comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's where the psychology. I love the psychology of you when it goes back into politics or everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the interest, you tend to analyze. Sometimes you overanalyze at times.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
But that's in itself a lesson. Like, don't go way into that rabbit hole. Like that, and like, you know, and
true.
that itself is a lesson. Like, okay, fine. I've dug into that for like 7 hours. I think I'll jump to something else.
Well, well, it goes into people like, okay, I think people misread Sessions. Personally, I think he's a good guy. Maybe there's some things I don't know about him, but he
Mm-hmm.
gives that perception. He gives that, how do you want to say, persona
Mm-hmm.
of, hey, I'm trying to do the right thing here. Just get off my back. I'm not
Yeah.
mad at nobody. I'm doing this, but he's doing his job. I don't think you just don't ever get that feel for the man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes like, I think also people, and I've come across many people on the street or at work, whatever, that just don't seem like the person you think they are, but you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This person's probably a pretty nice guy or girl, whatever. So you can't always read into that.
Right.
Um, it's probably for the individual to make that decision.
Yeah, I think I know my mom would always say, um, somebody can portray, the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that just, amazing helper and just great. Behind closed doors, you don't know them at all.
Unless
There's
it's
just
straw. You can see the evil come through that man. Thank
yeah,
you, Humi.
it's one of those things where it's, you know, in certain, and I think a lot of it too is like when people are interviewed like on TV and on mainstream media, like I'd probably be sweating, like I get nervous when I'm up on, the spotlight. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably like screw up and I'll probably say something. So it's like one of those things like you can't take, you gotta see somebody in all aspects of like reality in order to get a glimpse of who they are.
Right.
Somebody really comfortable, somebody, at home, somebody at work, because those are, we we tend to become a certain part of us that in different environments, because that's where we react a certain way
Right.
in different environments. And we may think, oh, that person's so good, and they talk, like they have full knowledge of this, but then they might not have sense of anything else.
Well, like in politics, I mean, you see that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Humi says that, yeah, about the two officers that were ambushed are they're still in surgery.
Oh wow, I
I
did
hope
read that before we came on. I was like, wow.
you see the video of it.
No, there's a video.
Yeah, there's a tweet of it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so, I don't know. It's one of those things like because I like investigating and being detective. Like, show me the video. Like, let's see it. Like, I'll be online, like trying to dig for the dead bloody body. But but it's crazy.
It is.
That's I didn't read the full story. What happened?
Well, it's probably more of this BLM bullshit. Um, I hope
I read that they
everybody
were
can.
sitting in the car, right? They were just sitting in their patrol car.
I think so, yeah. And that happened many years ago under the Obama administration, where same thing happened, but a lot of officers got killed because they were ambushed. Can I ask everybody have good thoughts and prayers for
Yes,
those officers and any officer out there on the streets or in a dangerous situation? They really need our support in these
yes,
times.
definitely.
Um, but when getting back to politics a little bit, that we're finding out that the Congress or committee does not still have the original 302s. And
What's a 302?
the 302s?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is what triggered the FAFSA warrants. And as the lawyer for the FBI changed it. And this is they totally reread it. They lied. And the original, there was no probable cause for an investigation of the Trump administration. Now, word is this has been planned prior to. Now, I don't know how they caught wind of Trump running for president, but we're already in the process. And that's Brennan, I believe, of starting to gather information, trying to spy on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard very little of it. I've only heard smidget, and that was enough to pique the interest. There's some more digging for you.
Yes, definitely gonna write that down.
So, yeah, this whole damn thing now. I think Ray is supposed to be very soon supposed to be subpoenaed, if he hasn't already, to appear before Congress. And there's some congressmen that are really pissed that they ain't got those. They still have nothing as far as all the documents. Now, we're now hearing that, oh my God, I just heard it 2 days ago, that somebody wiped out all the phones. I think it was the FBI. They wiped the phones clean.
Okay, so what's that all about?
I haven't read enough on it.
Okay, yeah, I haven't either. But I did hear something about, well, now supposedly they got one certain conversation. The person said, "Oh, that was like on a government phone, talking." He claimed to be like a personal conversation off the, like a personal conversation between somebody. But he was using the government phone or government whatever. But so that he was trying to play it off like, oh, but like, why you do that on the government phone if it's personal? That was his, the whole excuse. But the rest of the messages, I guess, were gone because they were erased, and that's all I know.
Scott in chat said 19 phones were wiped clean. 19 of them.
And that's like whose phone? Is it like the? I don't know. I just don't get, like, oops.
Well, even if you
how does that even happen?
Well, you know what? You still have the NSA. NSA has everything.
That is very true because
Everything,
they're
even if you
yeah,
wipe out a phone.
yeah, and that makes me question, like, okay, they really think we're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
They really, really think we're not gonna like connect or question. You know, like, okay, well, if you have my call log and my messages from last week or last year,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have those. I mean, they're obviously with the whole Shadowgate exposing them uh, of surveillance
Mm-hmm.
and the whole little what's his name, having it go to another uh, what is it? I don't know, like
Brennan.
bro. Um, yeah, didn't he add like a little T? Like a, I'm thinking of like the phone line where you add a T connector and then it goes to the left and to the right.
You know what? That video is so complex. I've heard people that had to watch it 3, 4 times to get all the information out of it.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like because I don't know who's who and what everybody's in charge of.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really like slow at putting those pieces together, but
It's
it's
okay.
good information. It's totally like, but yeah,
Well,
I think there's got to be a way. There's definitely it somewhere. It's in the database.
oh yeah, it's
And
definitely
what did
there.
she say? Yeah, what did Tori say that where do they store it? Where is it that they store it? What country?
Oh gosh,
It yeah,
I don't know.
she
I have to
recently
watch it again.
mentioned she recently mentioned it in one of her talks. Like she dropped the name of where it is that they hold the computers of the stuff.
I don't know. I'm on over. When I listen to all that information, my brain just goes on overload. It's like, ah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm like, okay, just grab whatever you can. Just, whatever I need to know, just make it stick. And then I listen. I
I
go
get
in just with
once I
whatever.
know the key players and I slowly start building up. I can
Yeah.
recite the whole conception to now the whole Russia hoax like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I still don't even know. Like, it's stuff like that, like big things. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to follow who's who. Like, wait, what? Why did they do? Like, is that bad? Like, okay, so they're not supposed to be doing that, and why do they think that? Like, yeah, it's so big, and I think that's where they lose a lot of people. Where it's like, oh, too much, too much, too much. Like, I'll just back off and and I think we just need to trust the ones that do know and and can have that mind that can put the pieces and understand it in like whatever language it is. I think we
Yeah.
just need to support those people to like, okay, now translate it in my language.
Simplify.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Brennan was what was it? A couple weeks ago was interrogated for 8 hours, I believe. But
Wow.
I still think he's a tough nut to crack.
Oh yeah.
He's too disciplined.
Yeah, once you're in from like a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
that's I think that's hard to break.
Your
And
weakest.
I did hear that and this goes off to like, and it's so funny how everything is intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like even like the dark, gross, dirty stuff is
Right.
so intertwined with the political, very open public stuff. Because I've heard Good Dog has her on his shows.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about her being involved in the satanic child trafficking and whole ritual thing,
Mm-hmm.
she mentions Brennan.
No way.
Yeah. She mentions him being at the training of the torturing and the rituals stuff. Like she mentioned seeing him there at, several points in her life. And I was just like, my jaw dropped. I was like, what? Like the same guy, John Brennan from politics, like that guy. And it was just like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, I don't doubt it.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
Now, I mean, seriously,
Mm-mm.
the other night I was reading about the Rona, and one of the health directors was literally saying you should probably wear a mask if you're going to be like intimate with your partner. And then it went to the point where it's probably better to be by yourself than being intimate with your partner. Like that's probably the safest way. And then it's like, don't kiss, no kissing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to spread the Rona. And I'm just like, whoa. I mean, if people are taking that, I mean, and it's on like the Washington Post and like it was on like CNN and literally
they did that.
Literally, I mean, this chick is on the record, like stating, yeah. I'm just sitting there like, what?
That lady needs to go live in a cave somewhere.
And like she's like in charge of everybody's health. Like really? Like if you're, I don't know. And then I read another. Somebody was going over like the headlines on like the Sun. Yeah, don't talk loud because you're gonna be a super spreader. Because if you speak loud, then you're spitting.
Yeah, that's what they're saying about singing in church too.
Yeah, singing happy birthday, the B's and the P's. The way we pronounce them, there's a lot of spit comes out of them, so there's no singing happy birthday because there's too many B's and P's. Mm-hmm. I mean, when they're pulling that out of their hat, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta think something. I mean, you're telling me not to speak English because the English language is you become a super spreader. The English language projects too much spit out of your body. I'm just like the Sun. I mean, the articles from. I'm just. It's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Like
there are more. If that was the case, more Russians and Germans would be spreading it all over the damn place. I mean, just the way they speak. God. I mean, I'm not making fun of how they speak. It's just the way. I mean, we just talk like we talk.
I'm just like, just the general point of, you want me to not talk?
We'll have to write. Oh, wait a minute. That's still gonna spread the Rona. Now we can't write.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, really?
I like that, the Rona. I like
the Rona.
I like that.
Yeah. I think it was yesterday. I was just in awe. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like my head was hurting. Like, really? Like, what? Like publicly, you're going to go on the record to like say that? I got to remind people, everything's on the internet. Everything that's on the internet is going to stay on the internet. And there's like the Wayback Machine where you could pull way back articles.
We all need to find the machine for a looking glass. Just go back at least maybe a few weeks before Trump decides to run for president. Nab Brennan, throw him in jail. Just think about what we would have accomplished.
Yeah. How much can we avoid? You know, how much would oh my gosh, things would be so different.
Well, it is amazing. Well, this is the deep state going, and Scott and a few others are saying that the Q map is actually down. How did it even go down? That's surprising.
Oh, I did hear about that.
Yeah.
That there was and then some. Yeah, it's been happening throughout like a couple days where it's on and off. But I know that there's one. I think the what was it the site that you mentioned?
The Q map.
Okay, because I think there's the Q pub. I think somebody had put it on the chat.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
In the room, yeah, but but that one pulls all the information.
Oh, you know us conspiracy people. My God. Just crazy talk.
Yeah, that's funny when they pull that card. I'm like, oh,
I do too. You just gotta laugh.
It's when it's like, do you know what a conspiracy means?
Oh, there is some. What is the Wayback Machine? I never heard that. You mentioned something. The Wayback Machine. That's real. That's new. That's new.
It's on the internet. There's an extension for it too on Foxzilla.
Really?
Yeah, there's if you on the add-ons and stuff on the extension add-on thing, you can use it and what it does is say like you type in a website address and then it say it's no longer there. Automatically it'll say if there is an archive, if somebody has like put it in the Wayback Machine or archived it or tagged it, it'll tell you, oh, there's a like a snapshot of it in the Wayback Machine. So then it'll direct you from like years ago where it was online, so you could actually read it. It's crazy. Wow. I'm like, yeah, I better do like what? Oh,
I like that. That's a nice one. But you know, when you go back to the conspiracy of the Russian hoax, well, it's never a conspiracy; it's fact. But who was the judge who authorized the FAFSA? Is a real question. Now, I've heard that it was rejected because of the wording. They reread it and then they passed it, which was really interesting. Somebody had to sign off on that.
Okay, don't laugh. What FAF? What is it? The FAFSA?
Fast. You know, I've been dealing with squeaky FAFSA. It's telling you, it's been a long day.
No. I don't know. What is it?
It's basically a warrant to authorize the FBI, CIA to do tap phones and spy on people like terrorists.
Yeah. And it's so funny how like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's invent that, or yeah, let's put that together for terrorists and stuff. And then it's like, mwahaha. Like,
well, I think we actually have that in the Patriot Act, I believe, the Patriot Act.
Patriot.
So wow, there's this God, and now you have one of Barr's attorneys dropping out, and I'm looking into her. I haven't found nothing yet. I think she was appointed by Bush.
Oh, and that's would she be under Barr, or is it working with Barr?
I think she's working with under Barr.
Okay.
I think. It's a new name.
Oh. She was one of the shadows in the back.
One of them. She's been there for a while. But we all know the Bush history now. And you know what? What's really weird is I really did not like Bush Senior. I didn't like Bush Jr. But I felt bad. And speaking of, let's remember yesterday was 9/11, and thoughts and prayers for the families and the people lost in that.
Yes.
But when I seen him in that classroom, I felt bad for the guy. I mean, I tried to put myself there. What would you do? Would you get up in front of all these kids and leave, or just try to push your way through it while being briefed on what's going on? And I really, and then he stood on next to the fire chief in that rubble and with the megaphone. You felt good for a minute, and then you thought, God, you learn stuff, and he's nothing but a piece of shit like the rest of them.
Yeah.
It's a letdown. I was actually going to give the guy some credit.
Right. Yeah. And it's amazing how emotional that, like, a situation like that is, how they could get away with so much.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was like, some things are just in plain sight. Like, you look back and go, how could we have not noticed it? But it's that emotional charge. It's that you're in, and it's so horrible. And that's how it's so evil to take advantage of somebody when they're so emotionally distraught like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, we should have known it was coming anyway. They tried it back in '93, but they they blew up the parking area, which was
the bomb. The truck or van or whatever that's one incident.
And when you really stop and think about it, when you're just learning on all the different pieces, how could the FBI not notice these people? They're learning how to fly a plane, but they don't know how to land it. That's a clue. But apparently they were in on it.
So I recently I wonder if I sent it in the Telegram chat, but I recently found all the air recordings, the communication. What is it called? From every airport and airplane, like when they do the checks, the check-ins and stuff. Right. It's the complete, like, I think it was like 2 hours or like an hour and a half, like, and it all in sequence, and up to the point where they lost signal, where the pilot wasn't answering, and then where they weren't calling in to check in, and then a flight attendant. It was all recorded, and it's crazy to think, like, and at one point somebody says, it's real, or is it, what did he say? To the matter of, like, no, it's the exercise, like, we're in like the exercise, or is this real? And apparently that there was some sort of exercise going on at the time of the hit. So everybody was kind of like that. Well, one of the persons on the recording was like confused, like, wait, is this part of the exercise? Like the drill or whatever? And what great way to confuse somebody not have them take it for real,
Oh, totally. That was on the recording?
Sorry?
That was I didn't hear it, but was that on the recording?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know. But it was on the all the recording sequencing. I'll send it to you, but yeah, it's interesting to follow, like, where this airport called in, and then that one, and then they lost it and they were checking in. It was just the play-by-play. It was crazy.
Well, you hear different theories, and I've heard new ones.
There's definitely,
Yeah. And they have video of the Pentagon when it was hit. And to me, it looks like a missile. Not a
Yeah.
plane. It's too fast. And it's too small. To me, it looks like a missile. It's not clear.
Yeah.
But then you hear conflicting. I'm hearing conflicting. How do you want to say theories? Some say CG. Some say it was real.
Yeah.
Well, I came across actually Trump, and he was being interviewed, and he said he's seen it. He's seen the plane.
The one that into the Pentagon.
No, into the
the
towers. But you still have Building 7.
Yeah.
That mysteriously falls.
Yeah.
And that's going on to left field and a whole other area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really hard to fully grasp when you hear this and you hear that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think they're out there because they're out there for a reason. You know, I think it those things that people and you just have to kind of go with your gut. And I think you get a few options to. I mean, there's got to be some truth in, in a bunch of lies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it depends on people who have to dig for themselves and figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen so much footage and eyewitness accounts, but that Pentagon just does not look right. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen it?
I've looked into like different scenarios of it was like what, and then you it's a question about like what purpose, like what was the mission, what were they trying to get rid of, because I was what is in that spot that it exploded or it crushed into, and one theory was that that room held certain information. And the thing is it's so hard because I'm not in the position, the angle, the way the aftermath was, it all is in detail. Like you gotta like seriously do research, because it doesn't look like a outline of a plane,
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I don't know. There's certain things that maybe we don't know.
Some things we may never know.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think I think that's kind of where we gotta just kind of accept, like, okay, yeah. There's some people that have an easier time doing that though, and there's others like me. I'm like, no, I need to know. I need to know.
Well, I think it was 97 that was headed towards the White House that crashed in the field.
Right. Because there was, unless it was a distraction, it was one of those like, oh, look over here,
Yeah. Well, when you look at the site, there's hardly any debris.
Yeah.
You
kind of like the Kobe crash.
Yeah, exactly.
And when there's a lot of those, you gotta question.
Absolutely.
Why doesn't it make sense?
It doesn't. I mean, I've seen enough pictures, but I mean, you would find large pieces of metal and debris that you don't see.
Yeah. And then the fire, the fires from, was it last year in California, where it was burning inside of a tree, and inside the bark, like the fire was inside. It was like heating up the inside of the bark, leaking out, and then there's nothing of the house left. Like it was just completely destroyed. I mean, fires don't do that. Like,
well, did you see the latest tweet from California with one of the palm trees on fire?
no,
It's when
I
you,
haven't.
well, that explains it because it's your combustible trees you have there. I mean, literally, the top of this tree was on fire.
What? I haven't seen that one.
Oh, I think I retweeted it. I don't know if I still have it.
And
But
what was the explanation on that one?
there wasn't any. It was none. None.
I love how it's like that is
Spontaneous combustion.
odd. Yeah, that's crazy.
But
And nobody, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, it must be a conspiracy theory if somebody questions it. Like, oh my gosh.
of course. Well, probably because you have a lot of fires, and Trump has mentioned this, that you have a lot of brush that needs to be cleared out, and Newsom doesn't want to do it. Now, my theory is because they're getting cut off with aid, well,
Oh yeah,
that gives them more money right there to just set shit on fire, and you get emergency aid.
yeah. Well, in Oregon, there's somebody that caught on video and running through the fire with a torch and a canister.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's, I mean, what more evidence do you want than that? I mean, they're putting stuff on fire. They're creating the fires. And recently, there was this. I think I posted it recently. The fire in the tunnel in the drain sewer or the into the creek thing. That inside was on fire. How does that get on fire?
Wait, the tunnel was on fire?
Yeah, like you know how in the creeks or like and they have like those big old drain holes on the side, like in there, that was on fire. And the police department where they had a little picture. I think it was on Instagram. Yeah,
that's why I didn't see it. I'm not on Instagram.
Oh,
Wow, everything just mysteriously catches on fire in California, doesn't it?
yeah.
It's amazing.
And I recently just I watched what's his name? Dutch? No. He spells it kind of different. That is on YouTube. He tracks the earthquakes and the volcanoes and all the whole thing, and he's predicting, or he's like, kind of working with his knowledge and education and experience with predicting the earthquakes. And then
seismologist.
Yeah, and he was told to not. I guess it was in the Telegram chat. I think Fritz might have. I think she was the one that posted it in the room, but he's pretty spot on. He's been following how at all the earthquakes and the magnitude, and he's following it around the whole globe, and he's pretty close on predicting. But I guess the news was like, yeah, it's there's no way to predict the earthquake. Like that's ridiculous. So you need to stop putting that information out there. So just go back to like whatever, doing your information stuff, but don't predict earthquakes or whatever. It's like what?
Yeah, I don't know how they would predict how the tectonic plates would move when they move. I've never known that, but maybe there's something I don't know.
Yeah, he goes through it. He's for somebody that like has no idea like what that's all about. He puts it pretty good. Like well, there's something inside the globe, the Earth. That's there's a bunch of old volcano mounts and the big one on here, and the earthquake is shifting, and like they go, and it's crazy how he can point out, and you could see it on the map on the USGS website, how they're like in a row, and then it jumps to the other continent, and then how there's one in the water, and then it goes down. Like there's a certain pattern, and I don't know, it's fascinating. It's crazy. But
well, yeah. It's been a great conversation. It's kind of late tonight, and I got to get up tomorrow.
I know we could talk for hours.
We really can.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining. Appreciate it, Becky, and I appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to? Anything you're doing? Do you want to say to the audience?
Oh, just it's great to interact with everybody and to just kind of like, go back and forth, and hopefully we'll do I don't know if we can put on the if you could put on the chat my D Live, I don't know, or my Periscope information. You could look for me.
Can you
somewhere.
Just tell me? Yeah.
You can look for me. Hold on. My Periscope. My email is, you could look me up with my email, zavala04becky@gmail.com.
To ask you questions or research?
Yeah. Anything. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, or to pick my brain, or you have something I don't know, anything. And I'm up for discussions for whatever is happening now, anything that has happened, what's going to happen.
Basically current events, nothing, let's say, perverted.
No, let's keep it G-rated.
Thank you, G-rated. hopefully they understand that. For some people out there,
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
I'm here to help. I'm here to help anybody that has any questions.
Well, I thank everybody for joining. It's late. Please join tomorrow. Oh my God, tonight. God have mercy, man. Tonight on the regular time for Fighting for the Republic, Doc Martin is going to join me tonight. And that's going to be a really good show. It is 10:30 Sunday night to regular time. I'm thinking about extending that, but I haven't made a final decision on it yet. So I thank everybody who is joining in the audience, watching, and on replay. I do appreciate all of right, Scott. I do appreciate all of you. God bless the president, vice president, military. God bless the law enforcement. Please take care out there. You are very appreciated. In the Coast Guard, men and women in the medical field, first responders, and everybody in America who loves this country. And if you don't like this country, get the fuck out. Sorry, just get out. If you hate it here this much, just go.
Yeah.
Go to Russia. You will love it there.
Yeah. Maybe.
Right. You go, wow, what did I think when I wanted communism? Gee.
Yeah.
They'll send.
We always believe the grass is greener on the other side, but it's not.
Nope, it's dark as night.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all very much, and I will see you later tonight.
Good night. And that's a wrap.